Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Micah and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
Of Live,
Let.
Thrive. What's up, Micah, man?
I am good. How you doing, Stevie Stacks?
Doing good, man. It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
We've both been doing our hustle. And so, but we got to get some shows in, man.
Yeah, we definitely do.
People need to hear this stuff. We're on episode 133 of your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, Uber, Lyft, all that stuff podcast, share economy, coming at you from Fort Worth, Texas.
And Arlington.
And Arlington.
We have some special guests from Florida, I want to say.
Florida and New York.
Florida and New York. We have Betsy Pepine and Maria McNeece. Let's welcome them to the show.
Woo! All right. I'm going to read a little piece. It's like, it's almost like a novel, little novel on Betsy's bio. She sent me a cool thing. Okay. Betsy Pepine. As a single mother of two in the midst of the real estate recession, Betsy founded Pepine Realty with no expressed interest in building a company. Betsy worked to service her customers and build a brand of excellence in the community. Working quietly from her home for several years, Betsy built an independent brokerage that quickly became one of the top in the country. Other realtors took notice and asked to join her, and before long, Pepine Realty was a full-fledged company working out of offices, in quotes, aka bedrooms, inside Betsy's house. Recognizing the need to either go big or go home, Betsy decided to go big with a vision of building a company of professional full-time real estate agents that raise the bar in marketing, customer service, and philanthropy. I think that's a good lead in right there because you talk about a bunch of other stuff, but we're going to get into that on the episode. Welcome, Betsy and Maria, her daughter, which Maria specializes in the short-term aspect of real estate. So it's gonna be an action-packed show.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I guess starting off, since do you both do short-term or just you, Maria?
We both do.
We both do. Okay. So where are your short-term rentals located?
So for my mom has short-term rentals out in St. Augustine Beach. We have condos and houses. We also have a single-family house in Gainesville, Florida, which is in North Central Florida. But I am managing listings in Gainesville and the beaches in St. Augustine, and also down in Winter Haven, Florida.
Wow. So they're all in Florida?
Yes, all Florida.
Okay.
And y'all own these properties?
We own 10 properties that we Airbnb and short-term rental out, but Maria property manages for other folks as well.
Oh, nice. And how many people do you property manage for?
I have 10 listings right now, some of which are my mom's. I manage all of my mom's listings along with my sister, who couldn't be on the podcast tonight because she's in Australia right now. But we help her manage her portfolio, and then I also manage 2 additional ones for other hosts who just have one and need a little extra help on the day-to-day operations.
Oh, cool. So you, what brought you into the whole short-term rental game?
It's kind of by accident. We had decided I'm a real estate broker, and we decided to open up an office in St. Augustine, which is about an hour and a half from us. That's where the people in Gainesville, when they want to go on a short vacation, they go to St. Augustine Beach. And so we decided to open up a physical office there for the real estate sales. And the building that we chose happened to have on the bottom was the office, and above it was a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house. Beautiful, right on A1A. And initially when we bought the unit or the property, we thought we would just vacation there as a family, but we didn't use it that much. And so we thought, let's try Airbnb. That was in, I think, end of 2016, early 2017. So we just tried it and hadn't really thought about doing it, any than that. But right after that, coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, we hired an agent, a really young guy right out of college who was from France, and his parents set him up with 4 Airbnbs in Gainesville. And we met him because he called me to sell one of the Airbnb properties, and it was a historic home in downtown Gainesville that he and his parents had converted into 4 1-bedroom, 1-bath units that he was Airbnb. And I had never seen that before, converting a house into 4 different units. And I was very intrigued by it. He showed me the numbers, and I was like, wow, this is really cool to be able to do this in my hometown. So once he joined us and I picked his brain a little bit, then we started adding to our portfolio, and now we're up to 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
You just jumped right in.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's, so flexible, and I don't know, there's so many positive things about it that we've enjoyed. So we see ourselves continue to grow that end of the business.
Oh, that's cool. I was going to ask, because you said you own a brokerage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And just to help our listeners out, what is the difference between a broker and an agent?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of varies by state. But in our state of Florida, when you get your real estate license, and we actually always ask people, what's the difference between a sales associate and an agent? Because the public believes they're the same thing. A sales associate and a realtor. Sales associate means you have your real estate license. A realtor is a subset of sales associates that have decided to abide by the realtor code of ethics. And they have to get education consistently to make sure that they abide by those rules. And they would be brought up against a board if they were to violate one of those rules. So that's the difference between a sales associate and a realtor. The difference in our state between a realtor and a broker is the realtor has the license and has decided to abide by the realtor code of ethics. The broker, once you have your license for 2 years, you are allowed to get and sit for the broker exam. You cannot get your broker exam before you've been in business for at least 2 years. So if you want to sit for the broker exam and you pass it, you become what they call a broker associate. Then if you start your own company, you're called a broker.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so what made you want to be a broker as opposed just to like an agent?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had been in the business for about 5 years, and I loved real estate. This was a second career for me. Wasn't expecting to go into real estate, but I just I was frustrated by how long it takes for things to come to fruition. So if you have an idea and you want to implement it in the market, if you're with a franchise, it can take a long time and a lot of people before you get the right approval to be able to do things. And I really wanted to be able to try things very quickly and move on and have that kind of independence and freedom. So that was the main reason why I decided to go out on my own. And I really didn't have an agenda of building a company. I just knew that I wanted to be able to control mainly my marketing. I have a background in marketing, and I just wanted to manage that creative flow more independently than I could if I was working under somebody.
Nice. I like that. Plus you could put other people to work for you, right?
Yeah, but honestly, that wasn't the goal at the time.
Okay.
That really wasn't at all. But yes, you can.
So you guys said you have rentals in Gainesville, right?
Yes.
I'm not familiar. That is where the Florida Gators play, right?
It is. It is. And it was funny you should say that, because the last property we purchased, I went under contract in February of this year. It's a mile from campus, and I called it Gator Nest, and we closed March 1st. Mm-hmm. And COVID obviously hit, and I was like, oh my gosh, I bought it. This was our first house that we're trying to do a short-term rental in Gainesville. And I assumed I was going to market it to traveling professors, parents visiting their kids, graduations, all these UF sporting events. And then COVID hit, and I was like, oh my goodness. So it was actually great because it hit and we were shut down in our county. We could not accept anything under 30 days of rent. So we didn't open until May, but that was nice because I got the house ready to open. So I didn't really lose that much time. And it's been pretty, we run about an 80% occupancy, and we're finding, surprisingly, people are booking it mainly to go, we're in the heart of all of the natural springs and scuba diving. And so people are looking to get away, and we've now become a house for that. So it hasn't impacted us so far. Knock on wood.
That's where my question was kind of going, is how is it impacted? But that's cool. And that's the thing about it with Airbnb, with short-term rentals and Airbnbs. You may be getting it for, hey, let's get the campus, but you never know what else is going on in the town, and it just starts booming. That's what happened to a couple of mine. So that's really cool.
Nice, yeah.
So Maria, what brought you into the family business?
I've always kind of taken an interest in real estate. Kind of growing up, seeing my mom build her business was really exciting to me as a kid. And when I went to college, I went to a university in Atlanta. There's a big firm out there called Pepine Realty. So I ended up getting on their team and working with them. Came up to New York the next year and was working with some brokerages up here. And just really enjoyed seeing the different aspects of real estate. And when I saw my mom kind of branch out into short-term rentals, I took a similar interest and wanted to see how I could provide service to hosts. As somebody who didn't have the ability to, create my own, buy my own home and do it myself. So that's kind of how I found my niche and like getting my way into the STR market.
So are you planning on doing like a house hack or something?
I don't know. We're going to see. Everything is very uncertain right now with my goals, but I just launched a property management company and we'll see how that works as I build my portfolio with more listings soon.
So I saw that it's like a co-hosting property management company, correct?
Right. So some hosts want to have somebody as a co-host to help manage all guest communication, schedule cleanings, order maintenance requests, whatever. Some just want somebody else to list their property for them, or some even just want somebody to like impersonate them on their own Airbnb site to help manage the operations. So it's essentially a service for me to help hosts kind of take off some of those operational duties.
Now, do you help set up the units also?
Yeah, so I kind of have clients in two buckets, one of which, like my mom, very experienced Airbnb, very experienced with Airbnb, knows about permits, knows how to get it set up. The other client pool is very new, maybe has one property that they're looking to get up and doesn't really know how to do it. So I can help them, find the local permits in their area and get it set up as well.
And like furnished and everything?
I've never had a unit that was unfurnished at the time I came on the team, but in the future, I can see that as a possibility, and I could help furnish the unit as well.
Well, there's a method to my madness while I'm asking all these questions, because currently, the Airbnbs I've had, in the past, I've furnished them and then got them up and running, done everything myself, right? And so what I'm going through now. No, okay. So my question was, see, I'm asking you all these questions because right now I'm going from being someone that's set up my own Airbnbs to running in it day to day, everything, every single question from the guests. If something's a problem, I get it handled. So now I'm trying to go that route with having someone else run it for me. And I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs because I'm like, I want to do something. But I mean, I see this as like a great way to scale for me. Trying to go hands off on it and trying to let and these people, they know what they're doing. Hopefully they know what they're doing. And so they're setting it up for me. I'm paying a fee for that. And then they're doing they're co-hosting, they're going to run everything for me. They're going to talk to the guests and handle all the cleanings and charge like a 15% fee. And so I'm just, I guess you've worked with clients that are new to Airbnb, and have you worked with ones that have done it before and trying something like that out? And is it hard? Is it hard to work with people that are like, I don't want to give away control of my baby,
Yes. My mom and I were just having this discussion earlier because sometimes it can be difficult for my mom to feel like she's off in terms of the property management. But I always like to say, like, my services are to allow hosts to be as hands-off as they want to be. Like I have a client I just took her on this week who, she did Airbnb a couple of years ago, but she's renting out homes in her personal home. It's really impersonal to her. She wants to be kind of involved and only wants help on a couple of things. And then I have other guests or other hosts that just want to be completely hands-off. They want to build their business, build their portfolio, and just collect a check at the end of the week. Most hosts kind of fall in the middle. And my job is to kind of assess what those needs specifically are and then offer some support. So I have taken on listings from people like my mom who, have been doing it. Like my mom had, 10 listings that she was managing on her own before my sister and I began to help. And managing that control can be a little bit tricky at first, but the ultimate goal is to make it so it's a mutually beneficial situation, and people don't have to be bogged down by guests asking what the check-in code is.
So, Mom, was it easy for you to let go of the reins and let your daughter do it all?
We started. I'm a big proponent of baby steps, and so we have 8 of our units are in one condo complex. They're oceanfront units in St. Augustine. And so I put a unit in each of their names, and then they each manage those properties. And it was very nice so that I could see how they manage the properties. And then once I was comfortable with them managing one, then we could expand. And so Elena, who's in Australia right now studying in school, she manages two, and then Maria manages the rest. So yes, I think baby steps really helped. And I still appeared on the as a co-host, so I could check in occasionally and make sure that that everything was going okay. And I think the other thing you can do is just make sure that your incentives are aligned. So Maria and I talked initially, like, okay, do you bonus for a 5-star review? Do you bonus for if she gets, because we created our own website with COVID because we were very upset how the OTAs were treating us. So we have our own booking site now, and we're in the process of collecting those bookings. And my goal is in the next year to have 80% of our bookings coming directly to us. So I bonus Maria on every direct booking she gets. So, bonusing on behaviors that you want to see, I think can really help you be more comfortable when you give up that control.
That's pretty cool concept right there. Yeah, doing the bonus approach,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Micah, you got any questions? I'm taking over the interview here.
Oh no, I'm over here loading up because I like what they're doing. You're asking questions to make sure you're not going to annoy your new co-host, right?
Yeah, I probably already am. I probably already am annoying them, but that's what I was like. I'm like trying to keep my micromanaging, the stuff at bay, and it's hard. It's kind of hard.
But I was going to ask you, so because you said you have rentals in St. Augustine, and you said you're also moving to the direct booking route, which is the best thing to do. So how did the St. Augustine market do during COVID? Has it bounced back fully, or is it slowly going up? How's that?
The floodgates opened the day the governor allowed us, or actually the local county and the governor allowed us to open up again. And we have a 98% occupancy rate. It is crazy, and we've been able to raise our rates. So, and we don't even see that slowing down. Normally you'll have a slow season once school gets back into session, but because that is quite vague at the moment, we're not seeing a slowdown at all. And I don't anticipate, even on the real estate side, for the next year and a half, I think we're going to be fine while people sort this COVID thing out. What we're seeing is people wanting to take shorter and more mini vacations. They're not going to, save for Europe. They're going to go to the beach 3 or 4 times. And so I think that we're ironically, just greatly positioned for what's happening right now in our nation.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of last minute bookings, which has been surprising. People dealing with the uncertainty, they're not going to, as usual, book their vacation 3-4 months out. They might book it for next week because they got the clearance from their job and things. So we have seen a little bit of changes in terms of our data, like our reservation trends. But overall, we've still maintained high occupancy rates, which has been great. St. Augustine is hard to feel like it's a wonderful place to be during COVID. People want to escape, so it's an easy sell.
Another thing. So, okay, and this is going to go towards the direct bookings that you guys are going. And so what percentage are you guys at for direct bookings now? And how are you marketing to get people to directly book with you? And what systems are you using?
So we just launched it. It took me, COVID hit in February, March. Took me a couple months to realize this is, I didn't realize what Airbnb was going to do to us. And so and then I wouldn't recommend this, but I did hire somebody overseas to create my website, and I would never do that again. So it took 10 weeks to build the website, so that's crazy. So we just launched it maybe 4 weeks ago. So I would say 5% of our bookings right now, Maria, are direct booking. But what we did was we downloaded, so on Vrbo, you can get email addresses and phone numbers. So I had my daughter in Australia create a database of all of our, for the last 3 or 4 years. Then on Airbnb, we have phone numbers. So she created a database for that. And where you're going to use slick text and do a mass, email campaign or texting campaign. And then we're also going to do constant contact and do email campaigns. Then in every unit, we have flyers that they can take that show our direct booking site, our Instagram site, and our Facebook site. And then we're going to put them on an email drip campaign once they leave and check out. so that they're going to get messaging from us at least once a month. And Maria is also doing that for us. So she's in charge of the marketing rollout of that. We've also implemented StayFi in all of our units so that we collect email addresses as they log into our Wi-Fi, so that we have that. So I think that we're well positioned so that by the end of next year we'll be at 80% direct bookings.
Man.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
StayFi and the flyer. I got to put the flyers. I didn't do the flyers yet. I got to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find that's a really great way because once they're in the unit and they're having a great time, many of them just don't know it's an option. So we've gotten maybe 10 text messages of people by saying, oh, I've had an awesome time here. I saw the flyer on the fridge. I'd love to come back and book direct with you next time.
And you guys just put it in the fridge. Do you guys put it like in a laminate, something laminate?
I laminate it, put it in the fridge, but then I also keep extra ones on the counter so that they can take them. I thought about putting business cards in with that same information, but I just do flyers and it seems to work.
Okay.
And then Maria had a great idea and it's working well. She said, when in one of the welcome messages, we use SmartBnB for welcome messages, but one of the messages is, hey, share a photo or video on one of our, Instagram or Facebook pages, and we'll give you $5 back on your stay. So now we've got people posting that, great time, had a great time in St. Augustine, and then we give them $5. So that's just to help us build our content on social media.
Oh, content okay. That's a good idea. I love this.
Yeah, it creates a lot of touch points with the client that are outside of Airbnb and Vrbo. So being able to engage with them through an Instagram message, I feel like that has a lot more conversion than it would be to just get an inquiry on Airbnb.
Wow.
Man. And you thought you were doing something, Micah?
I know.
What are you doing?
I know.
Always like to learn.
That's why I love this podcast, because I learned so much.
I've learned so much from you guys. I started listening to you when COVID hit, and I've learned several things. I listen to you guys when I run in the mornings, and I come back and I write down all my notes. So thank you.
I'm happy we were able to help. But yeah, I love that, because I've been, I just got my direct booking site up about a couple months ago. I've only got 3 direct bookings coming in so far, but I haven't been advertising it like that. I've just been using Facebook ads, things like that. But the whole leaving flyers, I was thinking to do that. I'm like, I got to do that.
Yeah.
And I got kind of very weary of how I communicate with the guests. Because Airbnb starting to crack down on the direct bookings, and they were like, hey, if we catch you doing this. So I'm only using texting.
Yeah.
Unless I get their full direct email, because, if they use the Airbnb email, they see that and they're banning people. And one of my friends just got banned. So I was like, okay. So I'm loving the way you guys are doing it. I'm really learning a lot. That's awesome. And how easy was StayFi to set up? I've heard people use it, but I haven't.
StayFi is, I'm not technologically oriented at all, and I did it myself. It's very easy. You just buy an access point, and you can do it directly through their website. The guy, Arthur, is fantastic. It's a one-man show right now. He is very accessible. In fact, he helps you out on weekends, because that's when turnovers are for us, and so he makes sure it's up and running. But you literally just plug the access point into the back of the motor router, and you plug it into the wall, and it works. And what I love about it is, one, it doesn't require a password, and so it's just one less thing that the guest doesn't have to remember, and you don't have to put the note in. And so you're capturing everybody in the unit that's using Wi-Fi, not just the person that booked, and especially in the condos that we're in, anybody that wants to hop in on our network in adjoining condos, we are also capturing their email addresses. So it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. Wish I had known about it years ago. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was your podcast when I first learned of StayFi.
Mm-hmm.
But fantastic. It's $4 a month per access point, which is nothing, to be able to get the email addresses. And then you just go on the dashboard and you can see what unit they booked, what the email address is, what their name was. You download it to a CVS file, and then they have probably, Maria, how many different platforms they integrate with? 15 or 20 different platforms? Yeah, and they're going to add texting platforms. Right now it's all email-based, but they're going to add texting platforms that it integrates with as well.
So do you know offhand, like, if anybody, like you said, was staying in the condo with the primary guest that got, ads from you guys, not ads, well, promotions from you guys about the condo, did any of them actually stay with you? Yeah, book.
Maria, you have to check. I don't know because I see the back end of StayFi. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we did just launch this month, so
Okay.
we're still building up the touch points with people using these email lists.
Oh, nice. One question, we hop around a lot. St. Augustine, is that a seasonal type environment, or does it pretty much open all year round kind of?
Well, in normal years, it's kind of strange. It's summer when kids are out of school. You have a snowbird season, which is January through March. And so historically, pre-COVID, we would get snowbirds staying 1 to 2 months in each of our places at a slightly lower rate. But then they have events and festivals and night of lights and things. They've got this amphitheater that brings nationally recognized artists in. So there's always something going on that people are coming for. They even come for Bike Week, which is in Daytona, but Daytona fills up, so they back up and come into St. Augustine. So, so if you had I don't think it's as seasonal as people perceive it to be. And then on the real estate sales side, there is a little bit of a season for some reason, like in our market in Gainesville. It really starts February, March, and it goes pretty strong. It's delayed over in St. Augustine. It tends to happen after Easter. Then you start seeing the sales season start. I'm not sure why it's delayed, but it is.
Okay. And how, another question, how expensive is it to get a unit down there?
So it depends on how you get them. So I've paid, these are micro. I mean, these are 340 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, living room, kitchenette. The reason, and we bought them, it's zoned as a condotel, and there's about 140 units in this building. There are literally steps from the beach, and you can't find, I don't think there's any other place in Crescent Beach, St. Augustine area, where you can get a 1-night minimum rental. Most people require a minimum of 3 nights stay, and they are pet friendly. So it's got a very specific niche, and people all over the country know about it, come back year after year because of that. And it makes it very affordable for some people who can't afford a week-long vacation and they want direct oceanfront. So to answer your question, we have paid right now, we've paid anywhere from about $180 for a unit, and I've paid as much as $240. If I wait for it to hit MLS, you tend to pay a little more. But we also proactively solicit and try to see if anybody wants to, come forward and raise their hand. So I've sent out probably 4 sets of letters to the mailing addresses of everybody that owns the units, because most of them rent and they don't live anywhere near there. And then we also do slide broadcast. You guys familiar with slide broadcast?
What's that?
So slide broadcast, it's a great tool. We use it on the real estate side too. So on the real estate side, for example, if you have a buyer and they want a certain neighborhood and there's nothing for sale in that neighborhood, you can do a slide broadcast to everybody in the neighborhood and say, hey, I've got a buyer that wants to live in Tanatioga, example, that's a neighborhood in our county. Do you know anybody, do you or any of your neighbors want to sell? Do you know anybody that wants to sell in your neighborhood? What Slide Dial does, it's a phone, you buy it, but it's a phone number. You call the number on your cell phone. You record your own message. So you say, hey guys, this is Betsy from Pepine Realty. I've got a buyer wants to live in Tanatioga. Do you know anybody that's looking to buy or to sell in your neighborhood? If so, please give us a call. That will then ring to everybody's telephone number that you've uploaded. It rings their phone once, and then it goes directly to voicemail. Even if they pick up on that first ring, it's going directly to voicemail, and it leaves a message. And on their phone, it says missed call from Betsy. So it's a way to massively communicate with people if you're trying to get some information. So you can do that on this too. So we can slide broadcast to everybody in this condominium and say, hey, are you interested in selling your condo? If we can get people to come forward before they talk to a realtor, then we can buy it direct. I would say most of my units I bought that way, finding them through not waiting for them to hit MLS. But a couple of units I have done it through MLS.
Nice. And what about when COVID hit? Was there a lot of people wanting to sell?
No. The same 3 units that were on the market pre-COVID, they're actually still on the market now. We're not seeing a lot of people wanting to buy there right now. So those 3 units are still on the market. And we've thought about purchasing them, but I feel like they're too high for the lack of updating. So we're waiting for something else.
Now, what about, is there like a good arbitrage game over there? Are you able to rent something and then put it on, short term?
I'm sure you could. That's not something that we've explored.
Okay.
We've always bought and then done it ourselves. But interestingly, we have a client in Gainesville who is doing that on the commercial side. So we find him properties. Usually they're anywhere from 4 to 8 room office complex, inside a building. And then he takes out the lease, and then he finds tenants for each of the offices. So he's got 3 properties right now, and he gets them for about $1,800, $1,850 a month, and he grosses about $3650 a month.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And he has his own office, and he does his massage sports therapy out of that office. So it pays for his office, plus he rents out the rest.
Cool.
Wow.
Micah, you got any questions?
You were saying the average, you were buying them at 180 to 240. What's and you said you're allowing one night stays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's like the average nightly price that someone pays for like 340 square feet?
Well, we have found it's heads and beds. They don't care about the square footage.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why they don't have 2 bedrooms in this complex, but I wouldn't buy them even if they did, because I'm not going to be able to get that incremental price out of it. In fact, there's 2 floor plans in this condominium complex. The vast majority of the units are 340 square feet. There's a handful that are 450 square feet, but nobody will pay more for those on an Airbnb market, and they go for a lot higher. So from an investment perspective, it's not worth it to buy the larger unit, because people just want 1 bedroom. They want the beds and heads. So they all sleep 4 people. All the units have a pull-out couch in the living room. So it depends. Average price would probably be, including fees, because we do charge. I know there are people who don't like to charge fees. We are the opposite. We do charge fees. So we charge an early check-in fee, a late checkout fee. We charge a $25 inconvenience fee if the cleaners have to wait. We had a problem with that where, you check out at 10 o'clock. If you're not out at 10 and the cleaners have to sit there and wait for a half an hour, we're going to charge you. And then we have a pet fee of $50. I think those are all the fees, right, Maria?
Yes.
Yeah. So with fees, I would think the average night stay, what do you think, Maria? 130?
It's between 109 and 139, depending on the time of year and the whatever day it is. But we've also tried to integrate PriceLabs into some of our listings. I think especially when we saw with COVID, when reservation trends were we couldn't rely on historical data anymore. We were looking at something like PriceLabs to help us integrate some dynamic pricing. So we have that up on 2 of our units right now, and we're testing out to see how it affects us. Because we do have high occupancy, and historically we've competed on being affordable. So we've gotten really high occupancy, and so we're interested to see how that's going to change once we integrate PriceLabs more.
Cool.
Okay. And I know that you guys said pet fees. Have you ever tried without pets and with pets and kind of compared the occupancy on that?
No. That's a great question. So this condominium complex is kind of known to be pet friendly. So we haven't integrated that. In both of the homes, we have 2 single family homes. We do not allow pets in those. And I thought, as a pet lover and owner, I thought that would be a hindrance to bookings, and it hasn't been. I don't know that we've ever, we don't know. I mean, maybe there's people who just don't even look at us because we don't have pets, but the people who have said, hey, can I bring my dog? And we say no, they still book with us. So we have not found that to be a hindrance, but it may be in this condominium complex where it is a little bit known to be pet friendly.
Okay, because I have a single family home and a few condos. Now my single family, I just let someone in with a pet who's staying a month, but he was like, "Hey, I promise he'll be outside," which he has been. And I was just kind of gazing that maybe I should put pet friendly on there.
Mhm.
I just don't. I just don't. People have pet allergies, things like that. And I was just saying, if you guys kind of compared, hey, if we do allow pets, maybe we can, charge that extra pet fee, and maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, we haven't had, I was worried about the damage, and we haven't had any, in the 4 years, we haven't had any damage from pets. A lot of, the biggest nuisance is some dogs are hairier than others and shed more, and so it's getting that dog hair up between turnovers. But that would be, I think, the only kind of maintenance issue we've had with pets so far.
It's one of our largest fees that are requested. I think it's also a fee that people are really willing to pay. If they want to bring their pet, they'll allow it. And we've also, it's a cool idea that my mom had, but we are considering maybe charging an incremental fee based on how many pets you have. But it leads to a lot of revenue for us. I would say it's at least $700 a month just from pet fees in these units. So it can add up.
Oh yeah. That's a good deal right there. Because actually my co-host, she suggested against pets because them damaging the sheets and stuff like that. But if I'm making $700, I can get some new sheets, not too for like $50. So real quick, Maria, the art of co-hosting. What makes a good co-host? What have you tried and it's succeeded and tried and failed at? What makes the art of co-hosting? Explain that to us.
What makes a good co-host? I think a good co-host understands the needs of the host. So whether that means just being a support to help with communication, or if that host wants to be completely hands-off, that co-host really needs to understand that relationship. But that's all really it takes. There hasn't been any huge failures. It really has not been at all stressful, or there's been no obstacles in just taking over the operations for people.
I think one thing is that, and I think sometimes we lose sight of it, but how much, especially when you first start, there's not like a central repository of all this information. And so I know Maria spends a lot of time educating the people on the process, and more importantly, I think the resources that are available, all the different platforms and systems that you can implement to make everything more simplified. And I think that's probably your biggest value to helping somebody, like especially when they're brand new, they don't know how to pay taxes, they don't know what permits they have to apply for. They're so afraid of HOA rules and things like that. And so having somebody to support you through that process and help you navigate through your own county, I think is really helpful.
Oh yeah, big time. Just putting the owner at ease, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a co-host, because I know if you're a co-host, you're technically hands-on, but what systems have you put in place as a co-host to make your job easier and make it streamlined?
Getting onto SmartBnB was a godsend. I was managing multiple different Airbnb profiles across Airbnb and Vrbo and Booking.com, and so that was becoming a lot for me to try to manage all of those conversations across all of those profiles. So having a service that integrates all of those was a huge game changer. Automating a lot of communication was also a huge thing for us. That was something that even when we had 10 properties between my mom that I was managing, we were still handling all guest communication manually, which was just such a time drain on our resources. So being able to automate check-in information dispersal, information about pet fees, booking confirmation messages, that was also made my job so much easier. And as we are getting our direct booking website up to, keeping some of guest conversations in text and emails can also help kind of keep things organized as we try to manage these two different reservation streams.
We're also integrating the August lock systems into our units so that we have the ability to do remote opening and closing of the doors for the tenants should they lock themselves out, lose a key, things like that. So that's been helpful, and also integrating some of the Nest thermostats in our units to have better control of the utility bills.
It's also been great to have a service that allows cleaners to be a little bit more informed about calendars. Like we have cleaners that manage multiple of our units. And so having them be on our team on SmartBnB to view our calendar and kind of access information that way was also a huge point of efficiency for us.
And another question, because you guys created your own direct booking website. Is that direct booking website, can you link your calendar over to Airbnb or?
Yes.
Okay. And then my next question, because this is the issue I'm running into with my direct bookings, the 3 that I had. I use turnover B&B for cleaning. So my cleaners get them, but I had to have someone manually go in and create the cleaning on turnover B&B. How are your guests, your cleaners and your staff being informed after the direct booking?
Yeah, so you can set, just like you can set a messaging rule to guests, you can set operations rules to your team members. So it's not just for cleanings. If you have an Airbnb that, there's somebody who manages a check-in part or any sort of that reservation process, you can disperse messages to those individuals too. But once they come onto your team on SmartBnB, they can get a text message every time there's a new booking confirmation or an alteration request that tells them what date they need to clean. And then they can also just access the calendar at any time. We also recently set up another reminder that goes directly to their phones instead of an email that reminds them that they need to clean that day. So at 7 a.m., they're reminded of all of the units that need to be cleaned for that day because, as I said, we do have many units, and so it can be a little bit challenging to kind of manage all of these reservations and all of these cleanings at once. So being able to automate that process so we didn't have to keep communicating that is just huge for us.
I love it. And what percentage do you charge to be the co-host?
It depends on the client and what they need. I am hesitant to set just straight fees because, like every listing, every host is really different. There have been people who want me to be completely hands-on, handle everything from the finances to all the reservations to guest communication to cleaning and maintenance. That would be a little bit higher. But I have other people that are just interested in me handling all communication. And for that, at the level of listings that I have, it would be pretty incremental for me. So I would charge something lower. But each that's a different conversation between every host, depending on what they specifically are looking to grow and what they need in terms of help on their team.
Okay, could you give me like a baseline, 10% to 25? I don't know.
Anywhere from 10 to 25%.
Okay.
Yeah, I hit it right on the head.
One thing that we haven't figured out and would love your thoughts on is how to systematize and scale maintenance. We've got 10 units, 9 of them are all within, 8 are in one building, 1 is a mile away. And we have not created a good system for maintenance. And so I was just telling Maria, I said, maybe we hire a handyman, every other Friday, goes to all the units, fixes everything that's non-emergent. And then we have the one-offs when there's an emergency. But it just seems like we're constantly having to pay someone to come out, pay a fee that probably we don't need to incur because we don't have a relationship set with somebody on a regular basis. But wondered if you had heard of how people manage that once they start getting up there in property count. Would love to figure that piece out.
What I'm doing right now is I have a maintenance guy. Like right now we have one of our places, we have a washer machine that's leaking. He's going to come out and fix it. His standard fee is like $60 to come out. And that's all he's going to charge us because he knows we give him work on top of work, and he's a plumber. He does plumbing, electricity, pretty much he's a full-blown handyman. What happens is if we have a problem, our cleaner informs the handyman if something is going wrong. And speaking of scaling for each unit, I'm actually just getting into that. I just got QuickBooks Plus to get classes. So I'm starting to scale for each unit. Okay, this is the maintenance that's going on over here. And I'm starting to, kind of be able to decipher what's going to be happening and going on. That's a really good question because that's something I'm just now getting into.
Yeah. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
I like though that I didn't think about that, but having the cleaner go directly to the maintenance person and cut you out, which I love. Yeah. So that's something that we could do, Maria.
And that's actually something I want to tell people. If you get a good cleaner, like I have one really good cleaner that I have here, she'll buy sheets for us. She'll buy it and she'll just, hey, this is how much it was. She'll send us the receipt. If you can get a cleaner who's really, really hands-on and loves doing it, it makes it a whole lot easier. Like we just had someone check out of our condo, and it's a corporate rental. This guy was there a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
He went over there, restocked it, sent me the receipt on how much everything was, cleaned it, and we don't have to worry about it. Scrubbed the floors, made sure everything, did everything. And, and then if something's broke, she'll let us know.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. The units, I had 2 units here close by before the cities ended up banning them, but I just had luckily I have a good plumber and a good AC guy, and that can do a little bit of handiwork too. So that, like I said, there's no perfect, not yet a perfect way to do it. We interviewed a guy a long time ago, right? Right, Micah, that he was doing something like that where he's like handyman on call kind of thing.
There's Homey, HOMEE. That is like the site that it's a little, it's an app, and it's kind of like if you got something broke, a handyman will come out to you, and they charge by the little whatever charge rate they have on Homey. It's like an Airbnb for handyman.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they bid on your job, and then they come out and you rank them and stuff like that. So I haven't used them yet, but it seems like a cool concept.
Yeah, I used them one time. Remember, I used it at the very beginning. I wasn't too thrilled with it, but I'm pretty sure they fixed all the kinks with it. Like, let's say he's working on something, he can pause the job, come back to it, and it was like, okay, like I was waiting 45 minutes for this guy to get parts and stuff, and it was, my suggestion to it back then was, hey, just make sure you get some certified people in there. You know what I mean? So, but yeah.
Now I have thought of this because like this house that we live in now, we purchased it last year and it came with American Home Shield, and I'm sure you've dealt with them a lot. And so luckily, they fixed 2 of my AC units, and it cost $75 for them to come out each time, and it saved me like $7,000. So it's been working for me. And I contemplated, like, should I put that on my Airbnbs, on my rentals? Should I put Home Shield on them? And then, to come out $75. But the only problem with Home Shield is the mechanics will get there when they get there, kind of thing. Yeah. So they'll be there. It might take a day or 2 to come out. Depends on what the problem is. Like right now, it's AC season, so it might be like you might be like number 20 on their list. So I don't think it would work very well at that. But if someone comes up with a Home Shield for STR, rentals, it might be a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because American Home Shield, it's saved me a few times. Not with my Airbnbs, with my personal properties, like the one I live in here. Yeah, they will come out for pretty cheap. I think mine's like $50 or 75, something like that. And that's you can easily write that off. And I think that's what Homey was going for. But I think they just have to work out the kinks. But it was a good idea. The idea of it is great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. This has been a great interview. Yeah, we're like humming through it.
Yeah.
You got some more questions, Micah?
I have a few. Okay, I asked you about the pet fees because that was my biggest thing about allowing pets. StayFi, and StayFi, it's just a little box, right? You said
it's a little white round access point box. You just plug it into. It's so simple. You plug it into the wall. You plug it into the back of the router, and then they just use, we just call it, for us, Pepine Guest. And that's the name of the network. There's no password. It's open to anybody that wants to jump on it, so we get their email.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Betsy. So you in your bio, you said you started off your brokerage like right after the recession, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm sure it was a lot of hurdles and stuff and a lot extra red tape because of the recession. But do you see similarities in what's happening right now? And how do you suggest people go and start like a business during a downturn?
Well, this is not the same as what we went through in 2008 with regards to housing. In 2008, the housing market led us into a recession, okay? This recession had nothing to do with the housing market. The housing market is keeping the economy afloat in what's happening to the rest of the economy. And the reason for that is we have such a depletion of inventory right now, keeping prices across the country high. We have homeowners who are no longer having almost no equity in their homes. We're at an all-time high in the percentage of equity that homeowners have in their home. So they're not in jeopardy. Most homeowners are not in jeopardy of losing their home and not having equity in their home. They weren't, in 2008, they were using their homes as an ATM machine. They learned from that. And so we're in such a different position now than we are then. And housing, we believe, is going to be helping us keeping this recession not as bad as it could be. Housing prices are still up about 5% year over year. We do not see that changing because of the low inventories across the board. I've always told people, at least I've only had two professions. I used to be in pharmaceutical marketing and now I'm in real estate, but I don't look at what the industry is doing, because it usually doesn't have a reflection on my work. In real estate, the 80-20 rule applies. It's really like 90-10. So 90% of real estate is sold by 10% of the agents. There's plenty of business for anybody that wants to work hard in any market. Our numbers rose every year throughout the recession, because if you're willing to work hard, the business is there. So we don't worry so much. I would counsel somebody who's interested in opening a business, don't be worried so much about what the larger market's doing, as long as if you're passionate about it and you have a solid business plan. In general, I think you're going to be okay. So that's at least in real estate.
Okay. That makes sense. And so I'm hearing that a lot of people aren't paying their mortgages, though. Is that you see a big reckoning happening?
No, I mean, we own a mortgage company and we're not seeing that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not. I don't know what's going to happen. The $600, the unemployment checks have stopped, and I don't know what's going to happen without the next stimulus package being passed. But right now, we're not seeing a flood of foreclosures or anticipating that.
And I never thought about that, because me and Steve, when everything happened, we've interviewed lenders, we've interviewed, people concerning forbearances. And I never really thought people are getting $600 extra a week. Plus, I think, was it 70% of what they were making when they were working? Yeah. That really did. I never thought about that. Probably did keep a lot of people with their homes, because a lot of these people are making more than what they were making on their job. So that was an interesting thing too. I think me and Steve, we were predicting, hey, maybe 2021, the people who are in forbearances, maybe a lot of people didn't take those forbearances because they could afford, Mm-hmm. It's interesting how real estate has kept everything. It's been going up this whole time. So
yeah,
so interesting.
Yeah. So don't be scared, Micah.
Oh, I'm not. I'm buying everything right now.
Buying the block.
We've had people that, interestingly, with forbearance, they go into forbearance and then they try to get a loan, and you can't. If you're in forbearance, you're not going to get a loan. Exactly. And I don't think people realize that. And
it's funny. Wells Fargo was putting everyone in forbearance, and I'm happy I just refinanced my mortgage away from them. They were putting everyone in forbearance, and when I was trying to actually refinance, they were like, "Oh, your mortgage is in forbearance. You got to call them and get it out." I was like, "What? Yeah. I didn't know that." So,
yep.
Yeah, Wells Fargo. Everyone who's been listening, make sure it's not in forbearance. They probably put it in there.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't realize they were in forbearance. Yeah,
that doesn't sound like Wells Fargo to do something shady like that. Wow. So, do you see any amazing untapped opportunities out there right now in this environment?
Untapped opportunities.
I know it's a vague question, but it's a vague question. Sorry.
You mean in real estate?
Like in real estate or STRs or stuff like that.
I like the idea, and I really like the idea. So when we were in COVID, I mean, we still are, but in the heart of it, I had several people asking. I thought it was so sweet. I had one lady call in an Airbnb before, and so she booked it, and then she's like, when do I have to leave? And I said 10, and she's like, 10 p.m. I said, no, 10 a.m. She's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, the next morning. She's like, I get to spend the night? And I was like, yeah. So I was totally, I didn't even I was just so surprised. Well, she was booking it for her 1-year-old daughter's birthday party at 1:00 that afternoon. Just a venue to have a birthday party, child. And then I had another lady contact me, and she wanted to have a small private school violin recital. And they didn't have anywhere to go because all the places were shut down. So she wanted to rent my living room for 2 hours. So there's that site, I believe it's called Globe, that I put us on, that Globe rents your place by the hour.
Globe?
I'm pretty sure it's called Globe. I'll email you if it's not Globe. I'm pretty sure it's called Globe. And we just put our list, well, we're just trying one listing, the house. And that it's for that. And they're saying that, so you've got all these dual income families, and even not dual income families, working from home. They're on each other's nerves. So you've got one adult in the house goes and rents another house for a couple of hours just to escape. There was a story of a guy who lives in a condo, and he bought a condo below him to use as his home office because he just needed an escape. So I do think there's this market for people. I had a lady, we do Airbnb seminars at a real estate company, and a lady, we were asked about experiences, and she rented a Airbnb for her 2 daughters and her to have movie day because it had a great movie, like blackout shades and a movie projector, and they just rented it for the afternoon and brought their movies. So I do think, and I do believe that people, 15% of workers worked from home prior to COVID. 60% of people are working from home now. I don't think we'll ever go back to 15% in the new normal. So I do believe there's going to be some demand for this kind of by the hour, by the afternoon or whatever rental, which would be the answer to your question. What are the untapped opportunities? I think that would be one.
I 100% agree. I couldn't believe Peerspace took a huge dip, but I mean, was it Peerspace, the one where you can go rent the offices or whatever?
I don't know.
WeWork or whatever. I think
WeWork. Yeah, WeWork.
They took a dip, but I could see them going really, really high if they just host office space. Like, hey, if you need a in-person meeting or if someone wants to get away, I could see that really taking off. Just like people are booking Airbnbs for violin recitals, whatever it is. I think I definitely agree that is an untapped market right now.
I think
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say.
I was just thinking another opportunity, I think. So we have this housing shortage across the country. COVID has made businesses realize that they don't need large offices. People are as productive or more productive at home. They like to work at home. We're not going to have a need for these gargantuan offices and even mid-sized offices. So we're going to have a plethora of unused office space. So I think there will be a great need for and trend towards converting that office space into attached housing, which would then help us with our housing shortage in the nation. So I think that's also an untapped market.
So you can see a lot of commercial going just housing residential. I could see that too. Because I could see, I've actually noticed here in Arlington, a lot of commercial space is empty, leasing signs up and out. They've just been sitting there, and it's crazy. Like I've seen gas stations up in North Arlington shutting down. So it's commercial space is I think it's going to shift.
Yeah.
Scoop them up, Micah, and then start making condos out of them.
Condo tales, we could.
Well, and then there's the other thing I'm curious to see. I'd love to see us in the future, 20 years, but there is this notion that the way we live today is not going to be the way we live in 20 years, and that because we're going to be such a mobile society, people working from home, people working in other countries, remotely, you don't need to have a permanent home base. And so the Airbnb type model, whatever we call it, is going to be the norm, and suburbia is going to be very the minority, and it's almost going to be pushed to the side. If you want to choose that lifestyle, fine, but you got to go live over here in the outskirts, and that most people are going to be living in this, I'll live in Fiji for a couple months or a year, then I'm going to move the family here and then here and here. And so that would be interesting to see to what extent that comes to fruition.
And I think we are starting to live in a more nomadic society. I think, and I think Airbnb has kind of encouraged it. I find people who just rent rooms on Airbnb, stay, and then go somewhere else. And especially now with remote work, like I have a friend who's been the last 6 months, he's been remote and he's been traveling the whole time. You know, he's in New York, he's in Seattle. You know, it's just kind of shifting. I could definitely see that everything's starting to shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a great interview. We appreciate y'all for hopping on. Y'all got any, Maria, you got any tips or pointers for people who want to get into the co-hosting business?
No, just find opportunity, look for hosts who are looking to build their portfolio and can use a little extra help on things that you can meet. That's all it is.
Your answers are so concise. You're very good at that. Your mom will answer something, you know, about 30 minutes later, and then no, it's just a different style. And then
a lot of experience. She's got a lot to share.
There you go. Well, this has been a lot of fun having y'all both on. It's cool seeing it, you know, keeping it in the family, and y'all are real estate's contagious thing, and it's really cool to watch the next generation carry the torch, and yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. This has been so fun.
Yeah.
Where can folks find y'all? Where could they hit you up?
Ray, you want to share with them our direct booking website? And
Yes, absolutely. It's called St. Augustine. Oh wait, I'm trying to pull up the exact link. It's called St. Augustine beachrentalsbyowner.com. So St. Augustine beachrentalsbyowner.com. You can also find us on Facebook at the same name, or you can go find us on Instagram at Beachers Lodge Rentals.
Beachers Lodge Rentals. Cool. Mm-hmm. So y'all can find me a spot over there in St. Augustine, huh?
Absolutely, anytime. Just please book with us directly.
I like that. I definitely will.
Well, thanks for hopping on, ladies. Y'all are awesome, and we look forward to maybe chatting with y'all again in the future. See how things are going.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Have a great night.
You too.
You too. Bye.
All right, that was episode 132. I got a lot out of that. I actually wrote down a few things on my to-do list. I'm definitely going to be putting some flyers in my units. I'm going to check out StayFi. I'm going to go ahead and start doing this stuff. Get StayFi in there, you know, see if I can get that done. There was a few other things she said. I think I wrote down. But yeah, that was a good episode. Really good episode.
Yeah, I'm going to make my co-host listen to that episode. Not that I bother them already enough, but we'll talk about on the next episode how my experience with that is going so far. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on episode 133. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, you guys can catch us on liveletthrive.com. You can go to IG Live Let Thrive. We're on TikTok, tough at Live Let Thrive. So IG, TikTok, everywhere, anywhere you can think of, we're there. Facebook, Instagram, all that. Follow us. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to get your health and fitness game together, be sure to follow Mahogany Artist on IG. She has all the fitness game, health, nutrition, get you all together. And we are out.
Later.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.